insofar as it incorporates the foregoing provisions of the Copyright Bill. And just briefly on the program, colleagues, I won't cover all areas. We will issue the statement. Some program elements have already been covered in the media advisories that we issued yesterday. Tomorrow, the President will be addressing the South African Automotive Week at the Cape Town International Convention Centre. The SA Auto Week will be held under the theme Reimagining the Future, together celebrating 100 years of automotive heritage, passion, resilience and ingenuity. The event is scheduled to 9. We've also provided for a contact person for those who will be interested. They can for accreditation. As you will all know, government has played a pivotal role in fostering a favorable policy and regulatory environment that has supported growth, transformation and innovation within the automotive industry. The South African Automotive Master Plan sets the objective of growing South Africa's vehicle production to 1% of global output and aims to increase the annual export value of the South African automotive industry from approximately 201 billion rands in 2019 to 400 billion rands by 2035. We've issued an advisory on the President's appearance at the National Assembly tomorrow. I think that's covered. On Saturday, the 19th of October, the President will join the Magwenya family and friends in bidding farewell to former Finance Minister Dr. Tito Magwenya, who passed away on Saturday, the 12th of October. As we've announced, the President has declared a special official funeral category 2 in honor of Dr. Magwenya. The President reiterates his condolences to the family and friends of Dr. Magwenya, who served the nation as an activist, economic policy innovator, and champion of labor rights, with a sharp focus on fiscal discipline and economic transformation. The special official funeral category 2, which will take place at Nkowankowa Stadium, Tzaneen, in Limpopo, is scheduled to start at 10 on Saturday the 19th, as stated. Just to further underscore that the President has directed that the national flag be flown at half-mast at all flag stations from this morning, Wednesday the 16th, until the evening of the funeral on Saturday the 19th of October. On Monday, the President will travel to Russia, where he will participate at the BRICS Summit to be held in Kazan, Russia, from the 22nd of October to the 24th of October. The Russian Federation's BRICS chairship in 2024 is held under the theme of Strengthening Multilateralism for Just Global Development and Security. South Africa's participation in the BRICS formation is to enhance the future growth and development of South Africa through its BRICS membership, and with the strengthening and consolidating of the intra-BRICS relations, ultimately developing mutual beneficial cooperation across the 3 pillars of cooperation, which are political and security, financial and economic, and lastly the cultural and people-to-people cooperation. During Russia's BRICS presidency, the countries indicated promoting the entire range of partnership and cooperation framework of the association. 3 key tracks that I've mentioned. Then on Wednesday, the 30th of October, the President will attend the medium-term budget policy statement. On the 1st of November, the President will, that Friday, embark on a visit to Limpopo province to meet with the Premier, Dr. Phuphi Ramathuba, and the provincial executive. The executive will present to the President its 5-year program in alignment with the priorities of the 7th administration. The meeting will also discuss approaches to various service delivery issues, including interventions to improve service delivery at a local government level. Then on the 7th of November, the President will embark on a similar visit, but this time around to KwaZulu-Natal, where he will meet with the Premier, Mr. Tamintuli, and the members of the Provincial Government Executive in Durban. That meeting will then culminate to a DDM oversight visit to the eThekwini Metro Municipality, which will include a presidential imbizo, as we often do with DDM oversight visits. The President will also be provided with an opportunity to assess progress on the work of the Presidential eThekwini Working Group, which he established earlier this year to address challenges impacting the city. Okay, colleagues, I think that's about it on the program. I'm happy to take questions. Lindsay?
Thank you, Vincent. Can you give us an update? I think we did ask you last time you were here about the GNU committee, or how that is progressing. Have they met? How's this going to work in terms of dispute resolution? And then, especially here in Parliament, the opposition parties seem to be unhappy with the decision from the NPA not to charge anybody in relation to the Phala matter. And of course there are other parallel processes in the court and the like to force Parliament to restart that process. Where does the President stand on the latest developments in regard to that process? Thank you.
Sure. Let me start with the last one. We noted the decision by the NPA. There's nothing further for say in that regard. We equally noted the unhappiness that has been expressed by some parties. We observe that the NDPP commented that those aggrieved parties still have in their disposal mechanisms that they can pursue directly with the NPA on that decision. So there's nothing further that we can say except to observe those processes as they unfold. On your first question, you'll recall some weeks back that I stated the President was going to host a dinner with all the leaders of parties that are participants in the GNU. Coming out of that dinner was an agreement that the Deputy President will chair a committee, call it a committee or a clearinghouse committee, that will deal with those issues. Interestingly, they're meeting tonight, if I'm not mistaken. And so you'll get those details from the Deputy President's office. But the meeting is scheduled to take place tonight. And that will be the first attempt to have a mechanism that will deal with issues of conflict within the GNU. Secondly, the meeting will then clarify and finalize the terms of reference of that committee. Andy?
Hi, Vincent. On the copyright bill, I understand that it's our organization that took the President the Concord because he wasn't signing the bill. And now that he's referring to a constitutional court, I'm just not sure, like, in terms of process, what happens then to the legal challenge? Is he going to defend that? Yeah, I don't know if that is moot. I also have a question on the meetings with the premiers and their provincial executives that we just mentioned now. Is that a new thing? I don't remember President going to provinces to meet with the premiers about their work? If it is, can you just maybe give us more why now? Yeah. And if there are plans to go to other provinces besides Limpopo and KZN? And lastly, on the African Development Bank, can you just level with us and tell us what exactly is happening? What's the story with in South Africa not playing ball with other kids, and why are we putting our own candidate for presidency of the African Development Bank if SADC has a regional candidate that is, well, you assume would be supported by everyone from the region?
Okay. So on that, I think it's section 27.
Yeah, Human Rights Commission and the Blind SA.
Okay, I was aware of section 27 having taken that court action. First of all, that court action was, we found it a little bit strange. And we're not quite sure how that process was going to evolve, because the Constitution provides very clear parameters in terms of the President's responsibilities in this regard. And there is a fair amount of work that has to be done before the President can either assent to the bill, refer it back to Parliament, or refer it to the Constitutional Court, as it is the case now. Now, before the President exercises any of those authorities, exercises any, he must have thoroughly satisfied himself about the issues that are of concern or about the bill itself. So it is a little bit bizarre why anybody would want to compel him, as if there is a set timeline in which he can exercise his authority in this regard. You know, they were, I don't have the exact number now, but they were well over 40 bills that were sent to the President between March and May this year, just before the end of the term of end of the sixth term of Parliament. And each bill required a fair amount of work. So I'm not quite sure how does one reach a conclusion that the President needs to be compelled to exercise his authority in this regard. How does he refer a bill to the Constitutional Court when he has not satisfied himself thoroughly that there are issues with the constitutionality of that particular bill? How does he sign a bill that will be later found to be unconstitutional unless a fair amount of time has been spent going through that bill line by line? So I'm not sure how that process will have evolved. I think the question is best posed to the parties that have taken court action as to what is their next step going forward now that the President has exercised his authority. If the court then decides that it's going to run a parallel process, well, then we will be left with no choice but to then engage that process. But I can't speculate how that is going to really pan out, because the court action in itself was very bizarre to us.
Okay, can I come in?
Yeah, sure.
So, this bill was taken to the Concord the Concord vote in September 2022, and said these sections of the bill are unconstitutional, gave Parliament 2 years to fix the unconstitutional parts of the bill. The 2 years ended in September 2024. So there is a set deadline to rectify what was wrong with the bill. And I disagree with you to say there wasn't.
No,
people only went to court when that deadline came and passed.
No, I'm referring to the set deadline for the President to exercise his authority. There is no set deadline for the President to exercise his authority. There may be a deadline for Parliament, that's for the President. In terms of the Constitution, nowhere does it prescribe that he must exercise the provisions available to him by this time. It does not do that, right? Now, to then take him to court, to compel him to exercise his authority, it remains very bizarre to us because there is no legal provision that says he must have exercised his authority at this time. And then adding on to you to appreciate the complexity of what the president has to do when you have large volumes of bills landing on his desk that must be processed thoroughly in their own right and be processed properly, that to assume that the president must have concluded his work by this time against a particular bill is inappropriate in my view, because what is that based on, and what informs that assumption? There's nothing that informs that assumption. So the question will be best put to the parties as to what are they going to do now? Are they going to await the decision of the Constitutional Court as per the President's referral, or are they going to continue pursuing their court action? It will be interesting to see what they say. Okay, almost forgot that you asked two other questions. So anyway, the next, provincial executives. The President is always engaged with premiers, even with metro mayors on their work. And this is done in two ways. One, in direct engagements, but two, in what we call the Presidential Coordinating Council, which you know about, which in its formation has all the provincial premiers, executive mayors of metros. I suppose now is taking it a notch up to then engage with executives. Part of it is to national government and provinces on the priorities of the 7th administration. That's number one. Number two, you will know we've had a lot of challenges at local government level. Now, the Constitution governments to and the, what those part of what the president wants to discuss is what do we do with that seems and unresolved for quite some time. Day in and year out, the president of AG reports, ongoing mismanagement and must be adhered to. And the president wants to take a more with some of those issues, working closely. FDP. No, we are not involved in SADC decision reports that indicate that lobbying outside that is not the case. We may have had some reservation in terms of some of the principles could have been, but be that as it may, SADC has process is underway, and there is no lobbying on our part with respect to that process, but lobbying on our part that will as decided on. No. Oh, we announced the candidates, but we didn't announce the candidates decided. By what SADC has decided. We cannot act outside of it has decided. We are obliged by that. We did not announce the candidate after this. Understand. Now there's nothing else we can do, but we did not decide it. That in any case, you'll have had to announce the support of the process, not after the process. That's my understanding of the process. But I'm serious. We are a member of SADC. We means to be bound by the resolutions of multilateral. We will always act within SADC on those types of issues. To say South Africa is campaigning a SADC decision would be, and to say that we will be campaigning candidate when SADC would be equally wrong. Okay. Next. Andy is still looking. Yes.
Is it for of the agenda at tonight's meeting?
Okay, so the GNU, the committee will be meeting tonight. I hope I'm not getting it. Certainly it is tonight. For the first time tonight. That meeting, the committee will obviously define its terms of reference, as I said. And in that process, it will define how it is going to work going forward, the regularity of meetings, the profiling of issues that will require the attention of that committee. And so all of those details, or let me rather say more details, will come out after tonight's meeting. I'm quite certain that the Deputy President's Office will release some post-meeting statement. If not, we will release some communication. Our intent here, Llewellyn, is to take to heart one is being done to ensure that for the full 5 years, we are confident in government, and there's and that not agreements that are yet to emerge, no member of the GNU is going to leave. And say quite confidently, have a mechanism that will be on issues of criticism against the president with respect to in taking his time of the importance of the justice portfolio. The president is well aware of that portfolio being led by a minister who's above. The president is well aware of the overriding responsibility within that portfolio. And so, in his time, he's not discounting of considerations that have to be applied with respect to that portfolio. As things stand, there's no evidence there's revelations, there's past financial functioning of the department, of any political interference, president's knowledge. The department and the department continue to are expected to operate, work towards the fulfillment of the crucial that it is a matter that is top of it has not been relegated to the bottom of the list at all. You know, in processing it, time in doing so does not discuss the importance of that portfolio or stability in that portfolio, but there's no evidence to suggest that there is instability either in the department or in any of the agencies. I can see you just what's bothering you? Let's talk about it. Yeah, so I mean, hypothetically, because that there are no been brought against the minister, right? Deal with the first part of your question. No, not suggesting that the president of instability in the department. The matter is top of is processing it through, and was saying I'm just appealing for patience. President, the time he needs to deal with the matter. Also going further to say the time that he needs, discounting all of issues that you've just highlighted of the department. It is not that you are well aware of all of those issues, and he's going to deal with the matter soon. We will know which is going to take on the matter. And you're welcome to follow up.
No, it's okay.
I can see your meme face. Okay, is that it, colleagues? V, are you happy?
Yes, that's my questions.
Oh, they were all asked before you could ask.
Before you
Oh, okay. And you were happy with that other matter you contacted me about last week, right? Okay. Even though Stephen Grotes kind of followed up in a completely different direction, but anyway, I'll have a chat to him about it. So, okay, colleagues, that's a wrap. Have a good afternoon. Happy filing. Cheers. Oh, sorry. We've got questions online. Kujo, why are you raising your hand so late? You know? How many do you have? Just two. Okay.
From TAS, initially from TAS, asked what is the main issue that South African initially from TAS.
Second word.
Tando Maeko from Business Day says that for South Africa to achieve 3% growth by 2025, the Bureau for Economic Research assumes that there should be significant investments in key sectors such as 23.3 billion of investment in electricity, 4.7 billion investment in port and rail, 2.3 billion water investment, investor and consumer sentiment return to pre-pandemic levels, an additional 30 billion rands of additional export capacity as a result of port and rail expansion, and increased household consumption fired by an increase in employment and overall economic activity. The question is, does the presidency think the growth targets and investment requirements are achievable in a short space of time?
Is that it? Okay. Let me start with Tando's one, because that target was communicated quite strongly when the president led the launch of the second phase of the partnership between government and business. And what the president had indicated to business before that launch was he wanted all of us in government and in business to be quite ambitious and bullish with what we have to achieve in the second phase of the partnership. And talks to the level of commitment that both sides, government and business, are giving to this endeavor. With respect to electricity, it is common knowledge that we really are turning the corner in terms of stabilizing our electricity supply. A lot of work is currently underway with respect to attracting new investments into the electricity sector, and that is underpinned by the reforms that are already underway in the sector, and the necessary legislative enablements are also in place in that regard. And so there's very good reason to believe that we will be able to achieve that target just looking at the kind of work that has already been done and the work that is currently underway. Similarly, in terms of resolving the blockages that have unfortunately impacted quite negatively the logistics sector as well as the industries dependent on the sector, we've taken a similar sort of approach and model that we applied on energy, and we've applied it on the logistics sector with the formation of the NLCC. And there are already some improvements in that regard, and there are reforms that are already underway. And so if we double our efforts, as we expect we will, that target is certainly achievable. The president was never going to settle for a less ambitious target. He was always quite clear that he wants an ambitious target that will inform the amount of effort and the amount of work that we do going forward. But we're not starting off on a blank canvas. We're building on from what we've been doing already, particularly in those two sectors. And the results are quite evident with respect to what we've been able to achieve in the electricity sector. And we've seen quite a significant increase in investments in that sector. I don't have a figure offhand, but we've seen quite a significant increase in investments. And so we're going to build on from there. I think today the Minister of Electricity is launching another battery storage project that will add about 180 megawatts into the grid. And so as we progress, you will be seeing more and more initiatives in new investments, in new projects that will be unveiled that are aimed at securing our electricity supply into the future, which is also supported by the great work that's been done by the men and women of ESCOM in terms of implementing the Generation Recovery Plan, and overall the implementation of the National Energy Action Plan is really producing good results. And so on the basis that we have some recent historical reference on the work that has been done, it is comfortable and reasonable for the President to then expect a much more ambitious target in this regard. BRICS, Vitali. Well, I've just outlined the three sort of, tracks that are of focus within BRICS, and so we will be engaging more on those, but also largely, as you will recall, Vitali, last year the BRICS group of countries admitted new members, so it will be of interest to the President how we are consolidating within BRICS this new grouping or enlarged grouping, and how do we map the way forward with new members. And so we're looking forward to engaging on those issues. Countries. The President is also looking of mutual interest will be discussed, including obviously the conflict in Ukraine, as well as the strengthening of bilateral relations between Russia and South Africa. Is that it? And is eager to go filing, so there are no more questions, right? Okay. All right, colleagues, thank you so much for your time. It's good to see many of you, and we will see